Let's take a look at how to use proportions to solve a real-life example. We're also going to take a look at how you could set up a proportion in 3 different ways. Before we begin the proportion, let's identify our information. Mel fills up his gas tank with 6 gallons of gas for $26.58. How much would it cost to fill an 18-gallon tank? The first sentence tells us that 6 gallons costs $26.58. The next sentence says, how much would it cost to fill an 18-gallon tank? Here, we know that 18 gallons should come first in our pair because it came first in our first sentence. And the question is, how much would it cost? So that's our variable because we don't actually know the cost. Now let's take a look at 3 different ways to set up a proportion. The key to solving any proportion and setting up any proportion is to make sure the labels match, either going across the top of the proportion and then the bottom, or within the proportion itself. In the first example, we see gallons over cost equals gallons over cost. They need to come from the same set of numbers or the same pair of numbers. So 6 gallons costs $26.58 and 18 gallons costs X dollars. Now that we have it set up, let's take a quick look at why this will work. We followed the rule of the labels matching across the top because here is gallons and here is gallons, and then here's our cost, and then here's our unknown cost. They match on the top and the labels match on the bottom. Then we can follow our normal cross multiplication rules. Another way to set it up is by putting cost on top. In the first pair, the $26.58 was paired with the 6 gallons, and our unknown cost was paired with 18 gallons. Notice again how our costs are in the top of the proportion and our gallons are on the bottom. As long as the labels match across the top and across the bottom, you've set it up correctly. Finally, let's take a look at one more way to do it, which is to put the cost of pair 1 over the cost from pair 2 as a proportion to the amount of gallons from pair 1 to the amount of gallons from pair 2. So cost from pair 1 was $26.58, and the cost from pair 2 was unknown, and we can compare that to the gallons from pair 1 to the gallons from pair 2. Here, again, our labels match, but this time they match within the same proportion. Here's a proportion of cost to cost and gallons to gallons. The information from the pairs stayed together, but the labels still match up and down. All of these can then be solved with cross multiplication.